Hello everybody, welcome to Jeff the Pharmacist. So today I want to talk about pharmacy fails, some of my experience in retail pharmacy, and some things that happened around 2019. So I actually, because my husband is Taiwanese, I actually had a little bit of a warning on the pandemic because some of our friends are actually from China, and one of my friends is actually from Wuhan. So he talked about basically what the lockdown was like in Wuhan, and kind of I didn't see how COVID wouldn't come here. So, or whatever they're calling it. I think they were calling it COVID then, but coronavirus wouldn't come here and affect our lives. So early on I was trying to procure masks, and my first kind of big frustration with retail pharmacy was the immediate reaction was to tell pharmacy staff and staff in the grocery stores not to wear masks. So that was their immediate reaction, and that was the policy that came down to our level, was you cannot wear masks even if it make you feel more comfortable or more safe. So my initial concern as a pharmacist was workplace safety. I was really worried about, is my life safe? Is the people around me, is their lives safe? So from my Chinese friend, who's actually kind of an entrepreneur, he was like, we were able to get some masks from him, and we actually did distribute it I distributed in the store, even though the official word from our superiors was that you are not to wear masks. And so we're in this strange situation where the policy was one thing, and then on the ground in the grocery stores, and really there was no leadership to be seen at that time when COVID was really kind of getting panicky. There was no corporate leadership in the stores at all. And what I found was, we're wearing masks. The official guidelines from the corporate was to not wear masks, and everybody's in a mask. So that was kind of the first big failure in my mind in retail. But as being a pharmacist is actually kind of fun, because I guess if you can relate, when you're working for, I guess if it's your own business, you want it to be busy all the time. But when you're a retail pharmacist and it's not busy, it's kind of a luxury. And so it really kind of initially shut down a lot of the business, and it wasn't that busy. People would come in for essentials and leave. They weren't hanging around that long. We were getting a lot of credit from customers. They were calling us heroes, and it was kind of uplifting. I felt like, at any time I might get COVID and die, but on the other hand, I felt, I should be out in the community because I'm in the lower kind of risk category, even though I'm a little overweight, but age-wise, and I'm not like 100 pounds overweight, age-wise, I was in a lower risk category, and I was like, well, there are older pharmacists, and so I should be, in the community and working. And I don't know if that's the best way to think, because in the end, you're the only person who's going to really care about your own safety. Your company's not going to care. Things started to get a little bit weird when the vaccine they started talking about the vaccine coming out, and then we started to get a lot of calls as, do you guys have the vaccine? Do you guys know when the vaccine's going to come? Every person that I would talk to would have this question, when is the vaccine coming? And it was really frustrating. So what do you think about it? And I kind of felt like I had to sort of toe a line there. I was like, I don't really know. I was just like, we're just waiting for it, and I tried not to talk to them too much about it because I didn't really have that much information, and everything was just kind of unreliable. A lot of information was unreliable. That was fine, but my initial kind of taste of, the vaccine thing is going to be a nightmare, was I'm licensed in Maryland, and then I have another license in Delaware. I was asked to go to Delaware to give vaccines, or I was asked to go to Delaware to cover. And I told my colleague, I was like, who does the schedule, I said, I can't give vaccines because I haven't had the training. I don't really know how to counsel people on it. I haven't done the training yet because where I was working, we didn't have vaccines yet. I wasn't in Delaware. And he said, that's fine. The regional manager will do it. The the pharmacist that's the corporate level. So I went up there like an idiot. And the first thing they say to me is like, "Are you ready to get vaccines?" So I was like, okay, this is going to be a nightmare. And the phones were ringing off the hook. It was the most disorganized thing. People didn't know how to really use the scheduler. There was all this paperwork, so you had to give so much paperwork to the patient. They had to wait so long. It was kind of, at the time in the beginning, it was very new, so people were like, oh, am I going to get a shot? Are they going to have a reaction? There was a lot of pressure on the patient because they had to wait so long. And initially it was a lot of older people that were like really scared. They wanted to get their shot. And so they're like, here, give the shot. And I'm like, I don't even know. I can give a shot, but I don't know. Is there what you want me to tell them? I haven't. And it was like, oh, read through this real quick. And this is what you're supposed to counsel the patient on. And it was a nightmare. And that was kind of my first taste of knowing that the COVID vaccine situation was going to be a nightmare for pharmacists. So fast forward to when it started to come into the stores where I was working, it was, they said you're going to have 15 minutes, every 15 minutes you're going to give a shot, and they're going to be scheduled. And, oh, but wait, on top of that, you're going to be taking walk-ins. So, I mean, the demand was so great at the time is, if you're going to take walk-ins, why do you need a scheduler at all? So people just come up and you just say yes, and you'd be giving 100 shots, 200 shots a day on top of trying to fill your prescriptions. So, first week was a nightmare. I was staying late. We are giving shots. We're not really having time to fill prescriptions. And then on top of that, there was a labor issue. So the labor issue was, if you are around somebody who has COVID, you have to report that, and then you're out for it was 2 weeks self-quarantine. So my main technician, it was a lower volume store, so I had one technician. That first week, she has to be quarantined for that first week she gets COVID for 6 weeks. So I don't have reliable help for 6 weeks. And there's really no, nothing from the manager to say, hey, from the bosses say, oh, if you don't have your tech and you're understaffed, you can cut down on the vaccines, you can turn some people away. It was no, full speed ahead. And the undercurrent of that was they're making $40 a shot, and they're gonna make a ton of money, and just deal with it. It's a nightmare, just deal with it. And, and then all of this is in the veil of, you need to help the patient. But I know in the back of my mind, I'm like, or in the front of my mind, that it's just a money thing. So basically what happens, what you can expect to happen is, it's just me basically working by myself, or I have one kid working with me who's a cashier, has no real experience in pharmacy, and there's just people lining up. They have their appointments, and people on top of them trying to walk in. And there were a lot of times where I was like, I'm just gonna walk out. I can't deal with this. This is not worth it. And I think that was kind of the straw on the camel's back that led me to leave retail. I kind of always wanted to leave retail pharmacy, but I was like, oh, I'll focus on other things. But that was when I was really focused on trying to get out of that job, because I was like, this is gonna drive me insane. And I don't know what it's like now. I left retail, but I don't know what it's like now. But at that time, it was, I think, unacceptable, the way that pharmacists were being treated. And it was like, first it was an attitude of you're a hero, and it's not that busy. And then it's people really aggressive coming in for their COVID shot. And then there's the booster, and there's another round of just aggressive patients. And by the time we had boosters, people weren't even very appreciative. It was just, I'm here to get my shot. That's where, around Christmas I got COVID, and it was from giving shots to people. It was just people coming in, piling on top of each other, trying to get vaccines, and they're already sick, you know. I think a lot of them already had COVID and they're getting these boosters, and I got COVID. I tested positive for COVID on Christmas. And leading up to Christmas, it was just people getting boosters and boosters because, oh, we can't have Christmas together because patients were saying that, oh, we can't have Christmas together because my so-and-so won't let us in unless we have our shot. So it's just really a nightmare, and I think that's kind of what led me away from retail, even though I do like the patients and the interaction and helping people. But I think that was almost like it took a negative turn. So that was kind of one of our biggest pharmacy fails. I want to thank you guys for listening to Pharmacy Fails. Give me a thumbs up if you like this content, and if you have any thoughts on other videos I could do. I originally had stopped doing YouTube because in 2019 I made a video on hydroxychloroquine, and it got censored. It kind of upset me, so I stopped, but I'm back. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe. Thanks a lot.